Hello friends, welcome back to another episode of Movies and Melodies. March 8th was Sahir Ludhianvi's birthday, and it was or is, I should say, International Women's Day. So today it's all about feminist songs. Feminism hasn't been a very popular theme in, I would say, most Indian movies, maybe all Indian movies, maybe all movies in general. However, there have been several poets and writers who have pretty fearlessly challenged the patriarchy, both men and women. The ones that pop into mind immediately are, of course, Kaifi Azmi, Sahir Saab himself, and Hasrat Jaipuri, Shailendra ji. So for my first song for this episode is going to be a classic from the movie Guide. It was a Navketan production, Devanand Vahida ji in the lead, and S.D. Burman's music. This movie, of course, was a super hit, as was the music. The story itself by R.K. Narayan was very female-centric, and even though it was named The Guide, Rosie is the character who sort of, shapes the whole movie almost. That's what you feel when you read it. So this particular song, there's a whole kind of lead up to the song itself. The scenes that lead up to this particular song are as follows. So Rosie, along with her husband Marco, have come to this particular archaeological site, and he has been in search of this place for many, many years. The guide takes him there and he starts his dig. Once he's there, he is so absorbed by this amazing find that he neglects his wife, and she starts getting upset, and they have fights. And he ultimately, for him, his archaeology is more than anything else, and he says some pretty insulting things to her. She gets very upset and she tries to kill herself, but the guide finds her, he saves her, and so on. And then he goes to her husband and says, hey, you are sitting here with your dig, but your wife is so upset and so unhappy. So he comes back to find out that, she's recovered from her suicide attempt, and she's just very, very unhappy that he's not giving her any attention. So he gets incredibly upset again, has a huge fight with her, storms off. Then he writes a letter to her and sends some money, and he says, go back home. I have way too many things happening here. I have no time to pay to you. So I am going to be on the dig for several months. You go back home. When she gets the letter, she's very upset. She's in shock initially, and then she's upset and angry. Then she decides she's going to do whatever she wants to do. So she takes the guide along with her. They go to the marketplace. She buys herself these ghungroos, anklets, that are like what dancers wear on stage. So she wears that, and then she walks through the marketplace. So obviously it draws a lot of attention, right? Because it's very noisy bells. And she's just very carefree about it, and she's sort of walking along very, she's liberated at that point. Raju Guide is uncomfortable because the people around them are noticing everything and making rude comments about her. She knows that they're doing this. She knows he's uncomfortable, but she just doesn't care anymore. And Raju asks her, says, what happened? Until yesterday, you were this unhappy, middle-aged kind of a woman. Now you've been transformed into this very young, carefree girl. What brought about this change? So in response, Rosie sings this song. Lataji, of course, has sung the song, कांटों से खींच के ये आंचल.
आज फिर मरने का इरादा है.
Vasna. This came out late 60s, I want to say, 68-ish. On the surface of it, this movie was pretty much everything anti-feminist. The whole Bharatiya Nari who puts up with her situation no matter how hideous it is kind of a movie. It also comes with a message in billboard font. Alcoholism is bad for you. They basically bludgeon you over the head with this message, okay, throughout the whole movie. Sadly, I mean, the movie actually sort of reveals itself to actually be kind of a feminist movie. There are scenes where the Bharatiya Nari wife, confronts the wife, and they have this big argument. And then the wife actually says, hey, when you go ahead and dance on stage, people pay money to come and see you, and they call it art. But when I dance, they call this bazari and cheap and so on and so forth. And, so there are elements of this kind of feminism stuff. But basically, the movie was very mediocrely made. But I think it was a hit, though. Rajkumar and Padmini were the main leads, with Biswajit and Kumud Chugani as the kind of the young element in the whole thing. And the whole feminist part of things for me is the music. Music is absolutely awesome. Sahir Saab teaming up with Chitragupt, it was a fantastic combination. I would say pretty much all the songs are outstanding in the movie. So the one I want to talk to you about is Biswajit and Kumud Chugani. It's a solo by Rafi Saab. And they both are traveling in a train. The train comes to a halt for God knows some reason or the other. And they're told that it's not going to move for a few days or some such. So he tells her, hey, you know what, I know how to go cross country kind of a thing to this other place, and we can catch some mode of transport from there to go home. So she's all like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. And he says, but if we're walking, you carry your bags and I'm carrying my bags kind of a thing. So she's like, yeah, sure, okay. But then she's so, delicate and poor, helpless female type thing. She starts becoming kind of weepy and moany about having to carry her bags. So that's when he starts to sing this song, Itni nazuk na bano, which means don't be, so delicate about things. It seems very mean on the surface of it, but as the song unfolds, you see there's a pretty strong feminist message in it. So he says, Had se andar ho nazakat to ada hoti hai, which means if your, all this air of being delicate is within a certain limit, it can be a charming quirk. Had se बढ़ जाए तो आप अपनी सजा होती है, which means if this delicacy thing exceeds that limit, then you become your own punishment. इतनी नाजुक न बनो.
इतनी नाजुक न बनो, हाय इतनी नाजुक न बनो, इतनी नाजुक न बनो, हाय इतनी नाजुक न बनो. हद के अंदर हो नज़ाकत तो अदा होती है, हद से बढ़ जाए तो आप अपनी सजा होती है. इतनी नाजुक न बनो, हाय इतनी नाजुक न बनो. जिस्म का बोझ उठाए नहीं उठता तुमसे, जिस्म का बोझ उठाए नहीं उठता तुमसे. जिंदगानी का कड़ा बोझ सहोगी कैसे, तुम जो हल्की सी हवाओं में लचक जाती हो, तेज झोंकों के थपेड़ों में रहोगी कैसे. इतनी नाजुक न बनो, हाय इतनी नाजुक न बनो.
1957 saw the Gurudutt masterpiece, Pyasa. This movie was perfect on so many different counts. Gurudutt, just like Sahir Ludhianvi, wanted to express his sadness, frustration, and almost an anger also, I would say, at how independent India was shaping up to be. The callousness, the greed, the corruption, nothing like the idealism that carried the country to independence. Sahir Saab also was very, very disillusioned about this aspect. So, in this movie, you have the story itself is fantastic. A poet who's unable to get any kind of success. The love of his life decides she wants a comfortable, maybe even a luxurious life, so she leaves him, marries a rich man. He falls in love, and the prostitute also falls in love with him. And the music, oh my God, what can I say about the music? This is the absolute peak of S.D. Burman and Sahir Ludhianvi teaming up. Sadly, this was also the last movie that they worked on together. It's almost as if they felt that they had a fight, but it was almost like, this was meant to be, because nothing could top this kind of a thing. I don't know. My whims, I guess, at this point. The song that I want to share, actually there are two songs that I want to share. The first one is written in the form of a bhajan. It can be seen as either a bhajan or as an expression of yearning. It's picturized on this mendicant woman who is singing to God. But you also have Rosie, Gulab, the prostitute, in the frame. They are both expressing a yearning for the love of someone that they're desperate for. The mendicant woman is talking to God. She wants God's love. But for Gulab, she wants both the physical and the emotional love from the man she loves, Vijay the poet. It is such an incredibly fantastic expression of a woman's longing. And Sahir, my God, what a magician with his words, And S.D. Burman also, he's tuned this so beautifully. And then you have Wahida ji, so young in this movie, quite inexperienced also. This must have been her second movie, I think, third movie, something like that. And yet, how beautifully her face expresses her inner longing. And Geeta Dutt, oh my God, she's embodied, her voice has embodied everything you want in this song. Aaj sajan mohe ang laga lo.
आज सजन मोहे अंग लगा लो, जन्म सफल हो जाए। आज सजन मोहे अंग लगा लो, जन्म सफल हो जाए। हृदय की पीड़ा देह की अग्नि सब शीतल हो जाए। आज सजन मोहे अंग लगा लो, जन्म सफल हो जाए। कई जुगों से है जागे, मरने न भागे। कई जुगों से है जागे, मरने न भागे। कहीं जिया नहीं लागे बिन तोरे, सुख दिखे नहीं आगे। ओ सुख दिखे नहीं आगे, दुख पीछे पीछे भागे। जग सुना सुन लागे बिन तोरे। प्रेम सुधा मोरी सांवरिया,
The other song from Pyasa that I want to share, this is a nazm. It's actually something that Sahir Saab had already published under the title of Chakle. Chakle means brothels. Sahir Saab has always had this, I would say, almost obsession with the way prostitutes have been treated by society. You know, the really hard life they lead, exploited beyond belief. He was very, very sympathetic to their plight. And this song is basically picturized on Vijay, the poet. He's wandering through these small lanes of the red light area. There are different scenes of all the abuse that's happening in the brothels as the song is recited, you know. Rafi Saab, of course, is phenomenal in the way he has sung it. It's essentially, it's not a song in the sense of song kind of thing, right? It's a very desperate recital of a poem, essentially. And he has done it very, very beautifully, very sensitively, because the words are incredibly sensitive. Sahir Saab, in the original, has a lot of very complicated Persian and Urdu, Arabic words. For the movie, he changed it, simplified it. So the original, like the hook kind of line for every verse, it was Sana Khwan Takdees se Mashrik kahan hai, which means people who are very proud and protective of the honor of the Eastern tradition, where are they? But he changed that to Jinhe naaz hai Hind par wo kahan hai. Where are those people who are so proud of the country of India? Where are these people? There are, I cannot recite the whole thing, it's too long. But there is one particular verse that just is very beautiful. He talks about how these women need help. Madad chahti hai ye Havva ki beti. Madad is help. Havva ki beti means the daughters of Eve. You know, Adam and Eve, so the daughters of Eve. Madad chahti hai ye Havva ki beti. Yashoda ki hamjins Radha ki beti. Yashoda, you know, Krishna's mother. Hamjins, which means the same breed or same species. Radha ki beti. He's essentially trying to say even Hindu, Muslim, it doesn't matter, that, you know, religion doesn't matter. So Radha's daughters. Payambar ke ummat Zulekha ki beti. Payambar is Muhammad, the prophet. His lineage, descendants, Zulekha ki beti, the children of Zulekha, who was the prophet's family. Jinhe naaz hai Hind par wo kahan hai. Where are these so-called protectors of the Eastern traditions? Where are they to help all these people? Incredibly fantastic. Jinhe naaz hai Hind par wo kahan hai.
ये पूछे घर दिल कशी के, ये पूछे ये नीलाम घर दिल कशी के, ये लुटते हुए कारवां जिंदगी के, कहाँ है मुहाफिज खुदी के, जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर वो कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है. ये पुरपेच गलियां, ये बदनाम बाजार, ये गुमनाम राही, ये सिक्कों की झनकार, ये इस्मत के सौदे, ये सौदों पे तकरार, जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर वो कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है. ये सदियों से बेख्वाब सहमी सी गलियां, ये मसली हुई अध खिली जर्द कलियां, ये बिकती हुई खोखली रंग रलियां, जिन्हें नाज है हिंद पर वो कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है, कहाँ है.
Trishul came out in 1978. Another Sahir masterpiece, in my opinion. The movie was actually very interesting. It was Chopra production, Yash Chopra's production. His wife wrote the story. Basically, the story is the conflict between an illegitimate son and his father. Sanjeev Kumar as the father, Amitabh Bachchan as the son. And it's this sort of clash of the titans. The whole movie, basically, these two are the pillars that are holding it up. Sanjeev Kumar plays the role of an engineer who goes to a village to work on some kind of a project. He's basically a very ambitious and kind of a ruthless man. He has this sort of a minor dalliance with this local village girl, Wahida ji. But once his job is done, he pretty much without a qualm leaves her, despite the fact that she's pregnant, and heads off to the city, and where he marries this very wealthy woman and, you know, leads a life of comfort. He's, like I said, an ambitious, ruthless man. She, on the other hand, is ostracized by the whole society in the village. She leaves the village, she comes to the city looking for this man and all of that, and realizes that there's no happiness to come out of that end of things. And she struggles a lot to raise her child. So this whole song is essentially, it's a lullaby. But unlike any other filmy lullabies where, you know, the mother is all like, oh, my lovely baby, I hope the wind doesn't hurt you and the moonlight doesn't, you know, burn you, whatever, whatever. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to slap the heck out of you, you burn in everything, because you're going to be so strong and so filled with anger and hatred and bitterness that you will take revenge, my revenge, on your father. So that's how she raises her son. It's an incredible song, and again, Wahida ji's expressions through the whole thing, you can see that she cares for her son, obviously, but she really has that incredible core of absolute fury in her, where she wants to stick it to this man, essentially, right? And Khayyam Saab's music, very, very beautifully tuned. And the song plays, you know, in bits through the whole movie as the boy grows up and so on. Amitabh Bachchan, of course, is fabulous, and Sanjeev Kumar is Sanjeev Kumar. So anyway, this song is an ode to feminism, frankly. Tu mera saath rahega, Munna. Lata ji. Muppattaru Vayadinile, 36 years, was a Tamil movie. It was a remake actually of a Malayalam movie called How Old Are You? And the Tamil movie was actually a kind of a comeback film actually for actress Jyotika. She had taken maybe a 5-6 year sabbatical and she came back with this movie. And the Malayalam movie also, oddly enough, was a comeback film for Manju Warrier. This movie is picturized on this 36-year-old woman. Essentially, she's the center of the movie. She is a civil servant, and somehow through the years, you know, being married and having a child and so on, her original dreams and her original fire has somehow just been crushed, and she stopped believing in her own strength and in her own self. Everybody around her, her husband, her child, they all treat her as if she's a fool and she is not capable of anything more than the mere mundane kind of a thing. So the circumstances in her life, you know, change so much. It's wonderful actually in a way. It appears to be a tragic thing because her husband goes off to Ireland, he emigrates with the daughter, and she's unable to go because she's not given any jobs there, and the employers in Ireland deem her unemployable because of her age, which seems ridiculous at 36, I mean, honestly. Anyway, that's my sidebar. But what happens is this woman at that point realizes that, hey, you know what? I can do stuff. You know, she meets with a friend of hers who reminds her of the fire within her and helps to kind of stoke it and, you know, build it up. And this woman changes her life and turns it around completely and, you know, becomes a really empowered woman. So this song is sort of in the background. And the woman who sung it, Lalita Vijay Kumar, has a lovely kind of a folksy voice to her, and it's a beautiful song. The lyrics were written by Vivek, and the music was by Santosh Narayanan. Vadi Rasati.
Vadi Rasati, Udusa, Elasa, Rausa, Povo, Vadi Valati. Variya, Puliya, Taniya, Tirivo, Mureya, Runegeta. Hey, Umbera Mike set to Porto Urumi Katu, 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 Katu.
That's it for today, folks. I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Until then, remember, music is food for the soul. Keep listening.